We actually have Dark World FTK today, we have Labyrinth, and yes, we have Phantom Dragon. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. You know, Dark World FTK is always going to be a interesting deck. I don't know, man. I didn't expect this to be the culprit right now, especially when you've got the triple Hydra Drive Dragon, and where's the best card? The Blackguard. So Blackguard gives you the interaction to be able to loop through Hydra Drive, and then you just ping your opponent constantly, because 300 damage to your opponent for each link monster in your graveyard. Yeah. Yeah, also Zenno Tsukihime here, being a 5 that allows us to dump down, you know, another key resource to kind of keep things going. This is the world we live in right now. And I want to see a deck like this be relevant for us in the TCG. It seems like it could be a little bit of a monster later on. Next up, we have Labyrinth. And yes, I understand the OCG still has Dimensional Barrier. But I know a lot of people have been requesting, you know, how do we make Labyrinth evolve? Well, you slap this bad boy in the deck right here. This bad boy is going to carry you miles, because Harmonia is just that good of a card. We have known time and time again that Harmonia just fixes problems, and obviously being able to sift through these power cards is going to be good. Also do get to see we have Lord of the Heavenly Prison down here as another little assister for you to be able to set up. And of course, I mean, hey, we all know Eradicator's a broken card. Having access to it and pretty much burst is good. You've got all of your Labyrinths. I do think this deck having access to Dominus Spark is going to be a big help, especially come like the TCG wanting to look and analyze this deck in the possible future. All right, next up is Phantom Dragon. This was the list that made me super excited, because Mind Shuffle says, hey, you have to, when your opponent activates a card effect and return a level 7 or higher monster, you control the hand special summon a monster with a different name from your hand that mentions Ritual Light and Darkness, ignoring summoning conditions. So Mr. Phantom Dragon here can rotate constantly on the field every time that the opponent does something, which is kind of funny, actually. You don't really think about that mattering, but like, it is definitely interesting. But Phantom Dragon, hey, this card not being a once per turn, he's from a good era in this game, but he's also incredibly, like, you look at this card and you're kind of like, oh, it's kind of mid. I agree a little bit. He's also a fat level 8, so something else to kind of think about when you're in the deck construction phase. You know, how can we use this? Right there you go. All right, next up we have some Sky Striker. Sky Striker in the OCG loves this Dimensional Barrier, man. Now, I will say, it's interesting that this list chose to not play additional copies of Pot of Procrastination. I feel like when you go into the meta and you're looking at this, Pot of Procrastination is an almost mandatory card. Obviously, I don't like Desires in this deck, because my hand always gets, or my deck always gets destroyed by this, but I guess, like, you play the Roses to try to compensate for that loss. You've also got Super Poly targets. You're doing Mud, the Theseus, and this. It's kind of a shame, actually, because you do have to... The meta does call for us to play this. Also, kind of have to have Dimensional Barrier to call Synchro, or else Cool Tune is just going to ram you against the wall. It's kind of sad to say that, but, like, this is kind of the saving grace for this deck in the OCG, and we don't have that. Next up, holy crap, it's Exodia. Heart of the Gaia is really, really cool. I do appreciate that this allows you to, like, give all of your opponent's deck position monsters 7 levels, which is something you don't really think about. Like, they wanted to print a really funny floodgate for this deck, so they said, what if we just give it to Gaia, who can, you know, basically beam itself on out, and, you know, can also act as a monster negate. Definitely interesting things. This deck is also playing Triple Dimensional Fissure. I also think that this is fine. You just... The cost of playing Dimensional Fissure is if you lose one of these Exodia pieces, you can kind of call it a day. Also, We're not playing the other trap card. We're just choosing to play 2 copies of this, which I think is fine. This is definitely a techie to list. Obviously, super polys to kind of clean up all of the problems within the meta. Also looking pretty interesting. Next up is Voiceless Voice. First of all, who's still playing Voiceless Voice in the year 2026? I'm happy for you, because like, you have chosen one of the biggest uphill battles that you could have gone for in this format. I also see, with that discussion, you're playing triple Harmonia, which, I mean, is fine, right? Like, technically Harmonia plus low is auto access to 8, which this deck is not really doing anything to take advantage of. Actually, this extra deck is pretty weak in comparison to like some of the tools you can do. But I mean, like, you want low up and running with the Skull Guardian. The only problem is, like, Skull Guardian unfortunately feels like a weak card in some matchups. I really wish that this card was a little bit better, but given the tools that current modern era Yu-Gi-Oh has, this deck has just been massively power crept into oblivion. I will say, though, it's still kind of cool to see that it did have a successful run out of this event. Next up is Fairy Tale, and gosh darn it, we're playing Super Duper Poly in the main deck. That's great. Now, unfortunately, TCG does not have access to Fairy Tale Snow, which would be great. Obviously, you know, Chronicler is one of the best cards you can have access to, and also Weaver is another great card. But without access to Fairy Tale Snow, it does kind of suffer a little bit. You know, you lose your names. You know, the engine kind of loses the spice that you wanted to have, because like, this deck's job is to be that interrupter so you can do your thing. I mean, like, oh no, I have to feed off my graveyard. Also, it's another degenerate deck that gets access to Secret Village, and that in and itself is a problem. The more that we've seen Secret Village running around is just a very annoying card in the meta. Like, screw this card. I'm so sick of losing the Secret Village. This thing is just an absolutely terrible interaction. Next up is some Dark Magician love. Honestly, it's kind of cool to see, like, somebody just dusting off old Dark Magician. Obviously, you know, the minute they print a Dark Magical Curtain, a lot of players are going to be massively excited to try to play this deck. Also, you know, the Magician's Rod being the pivotal point to get you into all of your combo pieces. The OCG does get access to actually use this. So this is the interactions crazy with this deck. You get access to the Baron de Fleur to smash in the black magic, and then this thing gets to trigger getting you access into, you know, the good card. But oddly enough, this list is choosing to not do the ritual stuff, which is fine. Just another card that you can use along the way to set a spell and trap card that mentions Dark Magician from the deck, depending on, you know, how your board is going to kind of set up. But Shining Sark, pivot into D-Mod, it's all the same standard good stuff that you want to see. I do hope that, you know, Dark Magician does become a successful deck, or at least a good rogue deck over here. Next up is the Blitzclique. I have seen a lot of cool lists with Blitzclique over the weekend that players are just kind of trying. Now, this list is playing Harmonia. I don't blame players for being upset that, you know, Harmonia is one of the more broken cards within the landscape of the format, because, like, you need it. It goes in everything. And that's just another symptom of the current meta. You know, good staple, congratulations, you know, you've established the meta. Obviously, you know, Pot of Extrav also providing us with incredibly good draw power. Obviously, you know, you're maximizing on so many cards in this extra deck. That's not going to be a problem for you to get your payoff. Obviously, that's Blitzclique in general. I do hope that this deck gets one more consistency piece. I want this deck to be, you know, I want it to be decent, but I don't know what they can do to power it up. And our last list here is just more power patron madness. The fact that, you know, Medius the Pure starts you into all of these pieces is absolutely notorious. But you don't see that, like, you have one Finmelon here, and it's about as good as it's going to get. We are also playing the Pastorelle Theorize as a 1-up. And, of course, because we get to do funny haha things, we are playing Gravity Collapse in here. Yeah, I know, right? Access to Junora into Gravity Collapse is going to be absolutely disgusting, to say the least. So, what do you guys think about these cool decks? Please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons! Thank you! Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.